coming next to our session, very important, much needed topic, that is skill development and innovative ecosystem in institutions. And that subtopics, taking it to next level, being digitally savvy, emerging skills and analytical thinking, experiential learning, and of course mentoring. And to do the honors, we have very eminent speakers. Please join me in welcoming Ankur Jain, Mission Director, Assam Skill Development Council, Government of Assam. A round of applause to Mr. Ankur Jain. Next up, Subhash IGESS, retired, Vice Chancellor, Assam Skill University from Guwahati. And also Sorabh, Bajaj, Vice President, Business Excellence, Sunstone University. A round of applause for Sorabh Bajaj as well. Dr. Girish GP, Dean and Associate Professor, ICFAI Business School, Bangalore. And to do the honors, we have to moderation Arunabh, Varma, founder and CEO Intercell. He is the founder, CEO of Intercell, a first of its kind SaaS-based mentoring platform. I would request before we start, quick video of Intercell with that context setting. We'll go ahead with the panel discussion.
हम सब के लिए बीते साल कठिन थे और अब ये नया वायरस, लेकिन समय एक सा नहीं होता। इतिहास गवाह है इस बात। We need to remain optimistic about the future, especially our younger generation who are pursuing university education, जो हमारा future है। आजकल टेक्नोलॉजी एडवांसेस एंड अ फास्ट चेंजिंग जॉब मार्केट में स्टूडेंट्स और पेरेंट्स दोनों को बहुत कंफ्यूज कर दिया है। आप कहां पढ़ेंगे, इंडिया या अब्रॉड? आप क्या पढ़ेंगे? शुड यू फोकस ऑन लर्निंग और स्किल डेवलपमेंट? आपके लिए कौन सा प्रोफेशनल फील्ड बेस्ट है? And what is the right career path for you in this situation of COVID? The answer is Intercell. अपनी तरह का पहला वर्चुअल नेटवर्क फॉर मेंटरिंग द यूथ ऑफ इंडिया। ये नेटवर्क आपको एक्सेस देगा टू ग्लोबल इंडस्ट्री एक्सपर्ट्स एंड प्रोफेशनल्स हु कैन गाइड यू टुवर्ड्स योर ड्रीम करियर। कौन सा कोर्स, कौन सा करियर आपकी पर्सनैलिटी और एप्टीट्यूड के लिए है? आप जॉब मार्केट में कैसे सफल हो सकते हैं? हाउ यू शुड प्रिपेयर फॉर योर इंटरव्यू एंड आंसर्स टू मेनी अदर सच क्वेश्चंस। हम देश भर की यूनिवर्सिटीज के साथ हाथ जोड़ रहे हैं। कम टू Intercell, अब सब होंगे कामयाब। जय।
Wonderful. Before I missed the name. On behalf of Best Innovation University, we have Pro Vice Chancellor Narsimha Nakshatri K. A round of applause. Please join us, sir, on the dais.
Thank you very much, Subhash, and a very good evening to everybody. It's a pleasure to be part of this great event. In fact, me and my colleague Tarun from Intercell, we were at another event yesterday in Delhi. But the kind of passion and the kind of love for education that I am seeing here is definitely one level above. So I'd like to please request you all to give yourself a great applause for the same. Thank you. So like one thing I would like to kickstart the conversation is by saying that education industry is a very focused industry. It's unlike media, it's unlike glamour, unlike entertainment. On one hand, the youth that we're talking about today, I have 2 daughters myself, 6 to 7 hours out of the 12 hours that they're awake is going into consumption of digital content. Now, how does that really affect the brains of youth? How does that really affect the innovative ecosystem that the youth is entering into? Because India, in the hands of great eminent education seniors, is actually going through a huge and massive transformation. US, Europe, UK, Australia, Singapore, they all are looking India at a big stage now. Things are changing. They are coming to us. Earlier it was the other way around. Having said that, the topic of this discussion is skill development and innovative ecosystem and institution. The first topic we can spend a few minutes on is what exactly is the next level industry-academia collaboration, according to you all? And how do you think the government and the individual and the institutions are gearing up for the same? So I would like to give the mic to Mr. Narsimha Nakshatri from Best University.
Good evening, everybody. I'm the youngest Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor, 20 days old. For the youngest university, it is Best University, about 4-year-old university, the first batch of the students that have come up now. Of course, the skill and the education, they both are interrelated. Without the skill, the education will be incomplete. So, first of all, I would like to say that the best university, it is located in Andhra Pradesh, very close to Karnataka border. We have first batch of graduates in agriculture. Basically, I think so far all the discussion were around the engineering and other applied sciences. This is one of the university in Andhra Pradesh. Of course, Karnataka, Dr. Timur has already said that we have the agriculture universities are different. Then in Andhra, we got the permission or license to establish that. So that was established, and in addition to that, we have engineering course also. So as far as the agriculture is concerned, we just first batches come out. We have made it a point that the students, after their second year and third year onwards, they go into the rural exposure for almost 1 semester and the internship program. Then, in addition to that, industrial exposure, they are getting an internship also. This is how they are getting the skills and also the education. They are also going to get into the job or they can become the entrepreneurs. This is how the skill and the education both are together.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sorabh, Bajaj, what do you think, like Mr. Narasimha just mentioned, what do you think is the next level of industry-academia collaboration from your specific industry that you're catering to?
Absolutely, thank you so much. I think I recall for 20 years that I have been hearing this conversation, industry academia can, but we have not been able to fulfill it, and there are multiple reasons for that based on my research, if I may. And one of the key reasons is that while industry is very willing to share content, but then they don't want to have their teams come over to campus and spend time with students, maybe 1-2 hours a semester, but is that sufficient enough? We have seen that that's not sufficient enough. They need to be engaged in that. And the reason why the faculty who is on campus may not be able to deliver that content because they have not lived that content. It's for them, it's a case study or a theory at best. So you cannot go with that kind of a conviction in the classroom so that it becomes embedded in students' mind. So how do we fill that gap? That's where, my company, which I represent here, Sunstone, we are playing an important part in that. So can I work with the academic? So we know that there is a gap. Can I become the bridge in that? I take content from, let's say, a leading bank. I take it to the university, probably a student is studying a BBA and can we have a specialization in BFSI? I'm just taking an example, which is also delivered by probably people who conduct master classes. They are not, so 60-70% as we know, MEP suggests that it should be core curriculum and this should be taught by the academics because the kind of work academics can do, I know, but they're trained, best trained to do that. I can't do that, probably industry expert can't do that. But the last 30-40%, which is probably electives, bucket or specialization, can this be delivered by somebody from an industry experience and developed and delivered, co-delivered through academics? So that's one way we are trying to solve for that problem. But I have one request also. So while I share that, the challenges we are facing in implementing these kind of solutions is because we try to push students to go for internships, for long duration internships. Now, I know that some universities are flexible, but not all. For instance, if I send my student for 6 months internship, the biggest challenge the student today has to face is, do I have to come back to the campus to complete my exams? So that kind of flexibility from regulatory perspective or institutions will also help. So that's something I wanted to share.
Great, thank you very much. And I would like to pass on the question to you as well. What in your opinion is the next level of industry academic collaboration?
Good evening everyone. Firstly, let's put student at the center. We are doing anything and everything out here with student at the center. And for a student, it is always like if you say something, they may not even listen. If you teach them, they may remember something. But if you involve them, it's going to get into them, they imbibe it and they work on it. And that's the whole purpose, I think, the discussion of NEP and everything going around is in helping students imbibe this quality. And undergraduation, university education after their 12th is the time wherein they come out of their silos and start thinking about education from all perspectives. Their thinking is in all directions. But our education system helps them think. It's a process they learn. But what industry wants is a skill which can be applied immediately. As soon as they come to the job market, they should be on the word go. And that is where the gap is. What probably we do in educational institutions is helping a student develop a thought process, a way of doing things lifelong. But what industry wants is immediately on the job. And that is where I think the gap is. We need to fill that, and I think companies like yours and what we are mentioning out here, mentoring, internships, all those come into picture, and they play a crucial role.
Great, thank you. Moving to the next topic, like I said in my introduction for this panel, that 6 to 7 hours of digital screens are being consumed within the age groups of 13 to 21, as per the recent surveys. And having said that, the next topic being that, is it really that important to be digital savvy today in the digital first world? 300 million smartphones in India. Google tying up with governments, state governments, center governments to provide free internet. Google tied up with Jio to provide free smartphones in 3,000 villages. And out of the 130 crore population that we have, 29% are urban, rest are non-urban in nature. Where do you think a country where 50 babies are born in 1 minute is going when it comes to digital first revolution? Please, sir.
See, digital revolution is already here. We cannot deny it. We are consuming digital content at a faster speed every day. So, when we are saying how we are putting our country in digital first world or digital savvy, our whole growth story is written by the digital world. We are not into manufacturing. Our whole growth story, India's rise is with the service sector and this digital world. So that is there. Now, as we are progressing and more people are connecting with the internet services, and internet is becoming very accessible and cheap, different kind of content is being developed. And people who are, with the software's help, people who are not very tech savvy in the coding and other things, they can also create a digital content. And this TikTok and YouTube sensations are the example of this. So with the right tools at the hand, we will be having a boom into the digital content. And then we will be having a different kind of industrial interactions with the rural world. So what we are talking, because I will be having experiences from Assam and Northeast area, and what we are discussing is the reality is there's two different worlds. So that kind of connect, when we are discussing, our standard of success is different and their standard of success is different. And here, everybody is successful in the terms of when I see the real situation in Assam. So, when we talk about skill development and innovative ecosystem, first problem is that we are not able to bring skill training or skill courses on par with the other academic courses. We are not able to tell the masses that you can have a very good career. This is your career progression, this is your learning diagram. Don't wait for government job or don't wait for some big degree to open up the gate. Understand your capabilities and go for the skill development. We can do this with the digital world. If we teach rural population and young boys and girls how you can go interact with the market, digital world, and you can earn money there, then it will be the next step which will keep us at the pace in the industrial world.
Thank you. Sir, can you please hold the mic again? Thank you. Like our colleague and friend mentioned over here, when it comes to India on a digital space, being first in digital today, of course our traditional grandparents and their grandparents, they were not aware of this revolution coming of age. But today, as the child, whether he is in school or whether he is in graduation or post-graduation, the first thing that he's demanding as a birthday gift is a smartphone. It's not anything else anymore. And he wants the latest and the greatest smartphones. Having said that, there's a lot of concern coming up from parents as well on how will he use the content. What kind of content access will he get? At what age? What is the right fitment of that content? How is it affecting the brain development? Having said that, looking at how we Indians are born and brought up and raised, it's a little bit different than the Western cultures. We have our own set of values. We're very family oriented. India doesn't have social security, so our family is our social security. Amongst all this storm, what is your opinion on digital being the most important medium today across all age groups, please?
What you are saying is right, but question is that this digital world has made whole of the world one global village, we will say. And with that, with this free access to internet and digital, we are being influenced by the culture of other countries. What you have said that our parents we respected, that respect we don't get from children or they think it differently, it's all because of this internet, etc. So that way we will have to see about the content, about the access, and whatever we might say about the digital world, finally you will see everything will boil down to brick and mortar. Unless the substantive is there, so digital is only a helping media. They are not delivering everything. So my suggestion to your earlier question will also be, when we are talking of the next level industry and academia collaboration, what I think that skill education, if we understand, we take it as hands-on education. It's a blue-collar job. And till recently, it didn't get the importance it was getting. And when we talked of employability gap, this skill education thing came in a big way after the 2015 skill policy. Now, if we want more collaboration with the industry, earlier we know whatever skill education, our ITIs, polytechnics, or say engineering colleges used to give, and industries, there was a mismatch. And if we want that there should be more collaboration, I personally think we'll have to find a way. I have been made a Vice Chancellor of a skill university. Now, if I want any industry persons to come on deputation for 5 years, or if you want to take some industry person with 20 years experience as my professor, I cannot do it immediately because UGC norms will come. He is not a PhD holder and all those things. So those things, the flexibility will have to come so that industry persons come to the academics, maybe for a period. That is one thing. Secondly, for a skill university, the pedagogy has to be different, teaching pedagogy. It cannot be the same teaching pedagogy of a normal academic colleges, etc. So that is one important thing. And thirdly, I visited Vishwakarma Skill University, Bharatiya Skill Development University. There they are doing, if one semester is in the university, the next semester they are tying up with the industries, and whole 6 months they spend there, which stipend, etc., and they work there. And that 6 months is also given due credit. So that type of arrangement we will have to make, that type of collaboration we will have to make the industries to really make this skill education and industry really that to remove that mismatch. That is my point.
Great, thank you very much. Due to positive time, moving to the next topic, which is actually my favorite topic, the topic of mentoring. Just to share some facts, and I'm sure you would know it as well. 50,000 institutions in India churning 35 million, 3.5 crore graduates year on year. 29 states, 38 official languages, 400 unofficial languages. We are just too many of us in India, and we love that fact. That's our strength. ASSOCHAM released a report pre-COVID times. 93% of MBAs in India are unemployed. There have been 2 reports in the media, again pre-COVID to be precise. 80% of engineers in India are unemployed. Now these are alarming figures. Another research says that 30% of the 80% engineers do an MBA. Now these kind of figures are unheard of in the world. Unheard of in the world. Of course, we don't have access to a lot of information of China, but looking at the various assumptions, reports, the Indian statistics are very unique in its own way. Now, having said that, we'll go one by one because it's a very important topic for us. On one hand, India is being looked at a global stage as one of the best infrastructures of universities, one of the best faculties, A lot of research projects are also going on. Entrepreneurship is being inculcated and promoted. Innovation is being promoted, etc. But the fact of the matter still remains that, unfortunately, and I'm sorry, please excuse me for being a bit blunt, non-Ivy colleges in India, as compared to Ivy colleges, probably 900 odd, and 90% of that brain is going to the West. But I feel personally that unless and until a non-Ivy League rise, mentoring comes as an important aspect, where while the university is giving fantastic education and edtech players are trying to provide innovative solutions in collaborations with the government and the universities, what about the parents? At the end of the day, the parent is really concerned today, especially after COVID. मेरे बेटे का क्या होगा? मेरी बेटी का क्या होगा? मैंने 10 लाख रुपए का MBA कराया है, मैंने 7 लाख रुपए का ये कराया है, 18 लाख का ये कराया है. Of course, placements is something which everybody is looking at, and universities do a great job. But again, the conversion ratio, for example, if 100 brands are invited, what is the conversion ratio of interviews? It's really low. Now, what in your opinion can mentoring do to these students who have entered in graduation and post-graduation, or on the brink of choosing their specializations and getting into the corporate world? I'm an MBA from a non-Ivy League. Whatever I studied in non-Ivy League MBA, theoretically it was apt. I'm not denying that fact. It's been more than 20 years since I completed my MBA. Theoretically, a lot of things were apt. But at the end of the day, I needed a mentor back then. Somebody to hold my hand and take me to the next level through his wisdom and through his experience and wealth of knowledge. Having said that, today, what do you think, where do you think India stands in the education system for endorsing mentorship at the university space? Globally, only Harvard promotes mentorship in a very big way. And I have access to a lot of information I would love to share with you later on. But none other than Harvard really promotes mentorship in a very specific manner. Now, what in your opinion, sir, is the future of mentorship in India on an education level, especially from graduates and onwards?
I think it is a very serious subject to be taken into account. Mentors and mentees, I think this is a good step which has to be taken up at every level. In addition to that, I would like to say that the 21st century learning, number one is a fundamental learning, that is what we should know about. What is that? Digital literacy, cross-content and cross-disciplinary functions. Second thing is meta-knowledge. Meta-knowledge, creativity and innovation, problem-solving and critical thinking, and communication and collaborations. This is meta-knowledge, we should act upon that. Third and the most important thing, what you said about the mentees and mentoring, humanistic knowledge. It is to value. I think this is what you have talked about. Life job and skills. In addition to that, I think emotional awareness. And third and the last point, cultural competence. I think these are the 21st century learning. I think along with that, with the mentors. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. A very enriching answer. If you can also have a quick rapid fire summary.
No, absolutely. So I'll share use cases. So I think we also need to understand that mentoring helps, but only if you are the decision maker. Because I can mentor a student and say that you should go to XYZ university, but as a society we have created a culture that you have to go to Canada or you have to go to USA, and it can't work out that way. So I think we need to solve for this at a larger level, not just at a university level. So I'll just share 3-4 examples based on my experience. First example is I was talking to a student in Punjab. I am from Punjab. I said, this is 6 years ago, blockchain is the future. Why don't you pick up a program which is teaching you some electives in blockchain and then probably look out a job. But this kid is in Canada now because the parents wanted him to be in Canada. So mentoring while worked, from a mentor's perspective, mentee also liked it because he had passion for this, but parents didn't allow him to take a decision. The second example is during the course, higher education. Because I teach at multiple universities in the country and in the US, I end up mentoring some students but the relationship I have seen in US is slightly different than between a mentor-mentee than in India. In India, it is primarily about, can you get me an internship? Can you get me a job? I'm not interested in learning skills from you. Where can you help me apply and connect with people? That's pretty much about it. I think that's another cultural thing we need to fix that. Mentor's job is not to get you a job. Mentor's job is primarily to help you find answers. And that's where I think all of us probably, if you have faced this situation, I always refer a book called Goal by Ellie Goldratt, Theory of Constraints. There is a mentor by name Jonah in that book, J-O-N-A-H, and he asks only one question: what is the goal? So as a mentor, we should not give solution, but rather give them a question which they need to find an answer to. Then it is a career choice. Now I have done it in engineering. Shall I do an MBA after that? I have given mentoring sessions to Ivy League students from India. Well, I may not say Ivy League, top tier private universities or IOEs. Now we have a term IOEs, right? So IOE student, I have a 4-year undergrad degree. What should I do? My parents want me to do an MBA. I said, why should you do an MBA? You should do a PhD. As a mentor, I suggested. It'll cost you lesser. It'll get you better prospects. And if you look at statistically, PhD founders have a more probability of getting better funding than a non-PhD or a dropout, and statistically globally data. But essentially the kid is still doing an MBA from London, right? So it didn't work again. So I think mentoring will work only if the student or the entire ecosystem of decision makers are part of this, because otherwise you can give suggestions, you can ask questions, but at the end of the day, the decision maker is someone else.
Thank you. Can we please have your quick 2 minutes summary, please? Thank you.
I'm probably focusing more from mentoring for current students, let's say undergraduate or postgraduate students. For them, I think the first line of mentoring, even more than believing a faculty, it's either their senior or their alumni. I think that's where the pitching has to come in. They need to be told the right things, the correct things. And when they go to a mentor, I think, as you rightly pointed out, that they want an internship or a job. That mindset has to change, and it has to start somewhere during school itself, before they start choosing. And I think that's where NEP comes into picture again, wherein you are encouraging multidisciplinary approach, innovation is the key out there, you are allowed to choose electives and decide on. I think this opens up the game for the students as well as parents to relax and help a student decide what they want to do. I think that works out, but at an immediate solution level, I think alumni of each institute, they are the ones who can bring in that industry flavor and mentor in a better way. And I think even in global ranking and accreditation, they give a lot of weightage for what alumni are doing and giving back to the university.
Correct, absolutely. Yes.
So that's a
perfect. Thank you very much. Sir, can you please share your thoughts on this quickly?
So my thought is that until we remove this immediate gratification cycle, things will keep happening the way it is. Because the day somebody gets his degree, next question parents ask, now what?
Absolutely.
So he has to immediately answer, okay, either I am going for job, or for competitive exam, or for MBA. So he has to be ready with answers. So that cycle needs to be changed. And it will take some time and too much of hard work. But that is the key. I think they have summed up very well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir, can you please share your thoughts on this?
I think I don't understand much, but I think counseling and mentoring are not the same thing.
Absolutely different.
Counseling maybe one time you meet someone, giving him all the options.
Absolutely. Yes, correct.
But mentoring means you have to be constantly in touch with him and all that.
Absolutely.
And in that, I don't have much understanding, but what he said, if the alumni take up mentoring of the institutes, that will be a real good thing. That is why.
Great. Thank you very much, everyone. And due to paucity of time, we'll have to end it over here. But great. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to host you as a moderator. We'll be in touch. Sure, sir, please.
Regarding your question about delivering whatever the program that is required for an industry, you can design custom-made program. It can be delivered in collaboration with the industry, and there is also no rigidity as far as the internship is required. You can keep them for 1 year. That's what our UGC guidelines also now say. Those were the past, things of the past, not now. And again, regarding the pedagogy is concerned, the NEP suggests interactive pedagogy. Okay, that also addresses it. Regarding the recruiting a non-qualified person, in the UGC regulation itself, there is a provision. You can, outside the qualification network framework, you can appoint persons. You just see the qualification that is specified, any eminent person can be. That freedom you have, given in the old regulation itself. Thank you. It was a very useful session.
Thank you so much, sir. A round of applause for Timmegad also, the kind of energy and passion